Hello, second live in a day, and I'm here for it. So today I'm gonna be going live with Dr. G, Dr. Christian Gonzalez. If you don't know who he is, he'll be in here soon, and he can totally introduce himself. But I'm really excited to have him on. We met online through a mutual friend, and basically like this badass vegan guy who has like the best perspectives on anything. Here he is. Really excited. Hello.
What's up?
Hey, I am hanging out. I'm really good. I'm really excited. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm just living the dream out here.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for hopping on and nice background. Okay, is this in your office?
Yeah.
Nice. I never seen it in like the podcast video.
Oh, no,
Interesting.
it's separate from the podcast studios. Podcast studios
Okay.
is my home.
Nice. Cool. Well, thanks for coming on. I'm really excited. I was just telling everybody that you're like this badass vegan who has, I think you have really awesome perspectives on things, especially like what you've been talking about lately. I mean, I always like the knowledge bombs that you bring out about food, but those are just facts.
Uh-huh.
Can you see the comments, by the way?
Yeah, I could see them. I see some of them
Okay.
putting on. That's
Okay, because the last person I was live with, she couldn't see it, but okay, cool. And so yeah, those are just facts, but I really just, I guess, got a call. Hello? Can you hear me?
hi.
Wait, I can't hear you. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I got a call. I'm really just, I guess, excited to like pick your brain more about these personal development habits that you've been sharing. But I don't know if you want to like give a little intro, and then I have some questions for you.
Sure. Okay, yeah. Dr. Christian Gonzalez. I am a naturopathic doctor. I've been practicing for 7 years now. Most of my work is in the media platform in the form of education through podcasts, social media, talks, website stuff. I don't practice currently because I give all of my energy to the education, which is to me the most important thing. And I love doing it. I have a podcast, Heal Thyself, as you mentioned before with the knowledge bombs. But really, I always talk about life and work becoming much more in flow when you're in tune with your given talents that you've been blessed with. And when you are in tune with that, all of a sudden just it doesn't become work. It just becomes like a flow of what makes you happy. And you just so happen to share it with people, and people just so happen to respond. So I've sort of inched my way into that space, and the benefits overall of just how fulfilled I feel is amazing. And it's something that I just want to give to so many people. I'm like, no, live your purpose. It's so important because if you're living your purpose, it's flowing out of you. And then we have permission to live our purpose. And by that account, you're bringing up the consciousness of humanity, which is so important, right? That's what shifts the world by you authentically just being in touch with what you want to do and how you want to show up in the world. The key is so simple, but so many of us just overlook that and live a life of where we're going to a job that doesn't fulfill us, that is so misaligned with us because we were told to do this and be that and go here and do that. But the reality is that we always have access to that, whether we're living in a state of fear or stepping into a state of love for ourselves and humanity. That's the difference.
That's huge. So you mentioned that like when we live our purpose, everything just flows out. And I can totally agree that also when we live our purpose, we're in a more comfortable state too. And we're not like trying to work. Like if we go to an office job and we have this title position, right? Like we kind of have to play into character, and that's not really us. And I mean, ever since I left my corporate job, actually in 2 days, it marks exactly 1 year since I did that. And was I scared? Heck yes. Yeah, I was. But it's the best thing I ever did. My life has like changed completely in so many ways. And I totally agree that following our purpose, we, sure, it could mean like a financial fear for some people, but if you're really passionate about it and you just stay driven and consistent, I think that we can really make it work. And I love that you said that it's about loving ourselves, because if we're choosing to go that way, we're choosing to love ourselves. And I feel like just staying comfortable and, working for someone else or doing things this way just so you can be comfortable and feel financially safe is totally not self-love. And I just feel like that will merge into other areas of your life, like your relationships,
Hmm.
whether it's friendship or with partner, maybe the way you eat. And if we don't have any self-love in ourselves, then how could we love like what we're doing or the others around us, right?
Yeah, so I have a question for you then. What helped you get over that fear of logically thinking this is safe for me? This job with this salary and this comfortability and this security is safe for me.
What got me out of the fear to like actually make that move?
To honor what you want to do in this world.
Yeah. So I wasn't happy whatsoever. And to be honest, I wasn't happy before, but then I didn't go to work for 7 months because I got laid off. And so and going back made me realize how little freedom I had in that job. I'm spending here 9 hours out of my day and giving my energy into something I don't care about. I'm not helping anyone really. So it was just me thinking about the freedom, right? Like I put my happiness first. Like that's what I did. I put myself first. I love the people I worked with. I'm still friends with them. And I guess I used to really put other people first a lot and just care a lot about not hurting their feelings. But I kind of put that aside and I'm like, I'm going to do this for me. And yeah, it was thinking about my happiness and my freedom. And I put myself in a position where, like, financially, I would be okay if I didn't make an income for a few months. So that was out of the picture. It was really just like internally, I would sit there at my desk and I'm just like, this sucks and I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I really don't. And also, what made me not be fearful is that I committed. Like, I told myself, I'm like, it's impossible for it to not work because I'm going to show up and I'm going to do it. And I know that if I keep working, it's going to work.
Right. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Getting into so removing that fear so you can make space for not only self-love but love for your self-expression, hence love for humanity, right? Because we all have things to contribute to this world. Aside from what we think, we have been given these gifts and yours are very different, your unique skill set versus mine. But so long as we start honoring and remembering what that skill set looks like, we can shine through and flow through and then call that work, but really express ourselves. And then that's a gift to other people, as I said in the beginning, because it gives people, through seeing and feeling that within you, the permission to go and remove that fear from themselves and step into that place to their highest self. So it's amazing stuff.
Yeah, and I really feel too that a lot of people live in fear. Like personally, I like to help people be the healthiest version of themselves, right? And whether that's like physically, emotionally, or mentally, like I like to do it and I like to teach it through food. And I noticed that, the biggest fear in people is not believing in themselves, like not believing that they can actually do it. And, I get a lot of these limiting beliefs, like, or objections that they don't have time or they've tried it all and they know it's not going to work. But I feel like some of these people don't even know what they really want because, eating healthy and like, losing weight and all that, it's more than just that. It's like, what is that going to bring to us? Like, what's that going to do for us? Like, if we're 70 pounds overweight and then we get to a healthy weight, like, how is our life going to change? We could be more active, have more energy in the morning. Like, I feel like people just don't believe that they can do it. So, how do you find that belief in yourself
That what?
that you can do it? Like if you really want something, like how do you how do you tell yourself, like, you know what, like, yeah, like I can do it? Like for me, like I guess I just explained to you how I did it, but I wouldn't really know how to explain it to someone else, like how they can do it. So how would you explain to someone, like, get out of that fear that you can't do it?
It's a good question, right? So we have two options. We have love or fear, right? And I've I've chosen to walk a path of creating more love within myself and others, right? So there's not much in this world within my skill set. I'm not going to be playing the NBA. I am a good basketball player, and I'm certainly 6'8". But within my skill set, I know that I can do anything that I want, period. Right? There is nothing that I can't create in my skill set, which is crazy because when we realize how powerful we are as human beings, if we even touch one millionth of how powerful we are, we'd be in shock because our life would change. Because we would know that we have the power to create at any given time. Essentially, we are creating all the time. Why? Because the one power that we have in this world is to create. So being creative beings, with that being our very nature, that gives us the responsibility to be very, very, very much so aware of the thoughts, words, and actions. And are they aligned, right? If you understand when your thoughts, words, and actions are aligned, you can create anything within your skill set. That's a massive amount of power that you can have in this world. And we lose sight of that. So if I work, there's not, like I said, there's not much that holds me back to anything in this world. But if I encounter someone who goes, oh, I don't really think I can do that. I don't see that in me. Oh, I'm not much of a whatever. All these limiting beliefs. If we really have that conversation and people understand and start making that switch from limiting to empowered, expansive versus contractive, and they can understand how that feels in their body when they are expansive, they're already feeling better mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's a massive shift that they have in their own power to create. So really it starts with like, how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself in relation to others, in relation to your place in this world? How do you see yourself in your power? Are you in your power? Have you stepped into your power? Do you even know what stepping into your power feels like? Or, like, are we limited by so many of the things we were told growing up as kids that we are not allowed to step into this? Because in society, we don't do this. We don't be, say, do, have these things, right? If it's rooted in love, there's so much in this world that we can do and step into to make massive, I'm talking about massive tidal wave shifts wherever we focus our energy. That's powerful. To understand how powerful you are and to even tap into that, there would be no such thing as limited. And that's what I try to give to people, right? Motivationally, experientially, however it is, I try to be that and embody that so people see and they feel and they have permission to do it themselves. Because the beautiful part is that we all have a subtle remembrance of it. Even if we're not conscious of it, why are we attracted to people in their power, right? And I'm talking about power and love, not power of fear like a dictator, but power and love, right? When someone walks into the room, Yelly, and let's say we're at a conference together and someone walks into the room and they are radiating and they are speaking in love, they are speaking expansive, they have an energy that's expansive. You notice people in their seats always want to gravitate towards that person like moths to a fire. The reason why is that when they're stepping into their authenticity, it's not that we're necessarily even attracted to that person. We're attracted to the energy that they're putting out that reminds us of our own inherent power. Always. Anytime you're attracted to someone who's aligned and radiating and expansive as such, it's always just a mirror of you. So just that one thought to understand that we can be as expansive as we want can completely change your life and the world.
So what you just said, like if we, and by the way, like it makes so much sense. And it's like, I feel like we make it so difficult, but I mean, it's like, it sounds simple. It's like, just come from love, not from hate, but,
from fear,
I'm
right?
sorry. Yeah. From
Hate
fear.
is
Yeah.
the derivative of fear. It's simply fear, right? That's all, everything in this world, every decision, thought, word, and action is rooted in one of the two things, love or fear, period. They're polar opposites, right? The polarity in this human experience is rooted in either or. We need both. We need to understand ourselves as love better when we see things out of fear, right? All the things, hate, greed, right? Or hurting others, that's all rooted in fear. But to understand, that's why the world has these things, so we can understand through relativity who we are better. And we get to remember our authenticity better through those experiences. But it does make sense. And it makes sense because it's our truth. Love is always our truth. And great. People are like, yeah, look at this hippie in this red beanie talking about love, right? He's in Los Angeles doing all hippie stuff. Great, yeah, okay, but the fact of the matter is that if you close your eyes and you feel into anything, and there's a little inkling over here, don't take the messenger, take the words, take the feeling as your truth, because your truth will always be in your feelings, in your intuition. I got it tattooed on my wrist for a reason. Your intuition is your truth. Listen to the people who speak the truth, regardless of how they look, regardless of the things, their past, present, or future. If there's truth in it, that's so, so important, because that can totally shift your trajectory of where you're going.
And when was the moment that you learned like this difference of where we're coming from, whether it's fear or love?
Um, all of this started, I read this book years ago, back in 2007, called Conversations with God. And we all have these aha moments, right? For me, it was a book. Other people, it can be an experience. It can be a death of someone. It could be a near-death experience. We all have a moment where it shakes our paradigm, right? The snow globe, all of the snow starts rising, and we're like, what is this world? Because it's not what I thought, because your lens changes. But that book in particular was really important for me because, and I see some people have read it, that book in particular is important to me because it was the first time I ever felt what intuition truly felt like. As I was reading it, to me, maybe not to everyone, but to me, the words made so much sense. The chapters made so much sense. I've never read a book in one sitting. I read it in one sitting, and I was buzzed. It was like I took 3 shots of tequila, or I was on some sort of hallucinogenic drug. I was like, I feel so buzzed out of nowhere naturally. And I understood that that is my intuition. And it was yelling at me, like, lean into this truth. And that's when it really started. But I've been talking about love or fear for quite a while. Have I embodied it? No, right? It's one thing to conceptually have something in your brain. It's one thing to walk in this world embodying that as a truth. It took many years after 2007 for me to embody that. And the way that I embody it is I had to start releasing fear. And fear, every single person on this live has been taught to live in fear. Majority. There's few and far between. Why? Well, it's perpetuated by the media. You know that. I can turn on the news right now, and I promise you, within 60 seconds, there'll be a fear-based story. Okay, through all religious people, I respect it, but there's a lot of religions that perpetuate fear. This is the only way to go, the only way to do. And if you don't do it this way, you're going to live in X forever, the rest of your life. That's so fear-based. That's not freedom. That's not love. That's not spiritual, right? So it's hard when you understand that most of your programming, most of your neural networks in your brain are created to live in a state of fear. And your body, this is real health I'm going into, this is real physical health, be deeper than anything. Your nervous system is going to respond to that state. It's a state, right? We live in a state of fear. And what happens with our brain connecting to our organs, it's sending out the very signals that even though you're not feeling your heart beating, even though you're not feeling all this tense muscles, tonicity in your body, we're still giving our body the signals that we're living in a state of fear. And our body's responding accordingly. It's releasing cortisol, adrenaline, all of those healthy anti-inflammatory hormones are going down. All the inflammatory hormones are going up. And almost every single person I meet is living in a low state of fear. It's a constant, like, we're talking about a lighter that's burning really slowly over time. And you want to understand how to get yourself physically healthy. You cannot be physically healthy with the best diet, with the best supplements, with the best exercise routine. You cannot be physically healthy until you balance that state of your nervous system. You have to give your nervous system the signal that the world is safe and that you can, and your God-given right is to live in love without fear. And that's a hard transition, especially for people who go, that's a pie in the sky. I can't do that. What are you talking about? That's some hippie stuff, right? Or some people go, oh, I don't know. I can't really show up in the world like that. I have, my town and the people in my town and my church and my friends, and all of these people will judge me. It's all stories. Because the moment you step into that sense of full body, the nervous system saying, holy shit, I'm safe in this world. I'm safe in my body. I'm safe in this home. I'm safe always. When you step into that state, it's very, very, very difficult for your health physically to go downhill. Disease is very difficult to live in that state. So, what steps? Someone has a great question. What actionable steps can you take to do this? Start seeing the way you see the world. You will be shocked if you start journaling and you see all of the things you fear, right? Me, I'm a terrible singer. You know what? But I love singing. I sure do, you know? But when I was in fifth, sixth grade, I was told, you can't, what are you doing? Oh my God, my ears hurt. You don't sing. But I want to sing. My soul wants to express singing. You see what I mean? So when I wrote, wow, I'm really afraid to use my voice, not on a podcast, but to sing, but to be expressive, that was very difficult for me. Oh, what about fashion? I wrote for myself, and I'm just sharing my own thing so people can understand better. I wrote, I'm really scared to expressively, fully express myself through fashion, which is important to me. My dad's was a fashion designer growing up. So I wrote a whole list of the things that I'm contracted in. Think of expansive or contractive. All of the things that I write that make me feel like this. All of the clothes that I wear that make me feel like this. All the times when I want to sing but I don't that make me feel like this. Or dance that make me feel like this. You will be shocked to see how much fear is sponsoring your every single day. So just bringing awareness to the very moments where you contract because you've been told a long time ago that you can't do these things. Then when the opportunity arises, you get to have one chance in that moment to express yourself differently. So for me, it was like we were doing the sound ceremony, and like I said, an insecurity about singing. And I know I can't sing, but I sing with soul. So it doesn't matter. If your soul's coming, you know, when I'm at a wedding, right? And I'll see someone dancing and I could tell they cannot dance for a lick. They can't dance at all. I'll still appreciate it when they're dancing from their soul. It doesn't matter. If they're in a flow state of dancing, that's the most beautiful thing. So I was in a sound ceremony and I was sort of like singled out to use my voice to sing. And I was like with like 20 people. I was like, shit. I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I was like, forget it. Like I always have chose myself to contract, and I am not choosing it today. I'm going to expand. And by doing that, I felt like a break happened in my throat where it just like totally opened up. And all those years of trauma where you were holding all that shit in, where you've lived in fear, what fear does to the neck, to the throat, fear does to the heart. It contracted me all the time when I wanted to sing. It was such a beautiful moment. I had tears coming down my eyes because I let go. And all of us have those, have those opportunities to let go always. So the point I'm trying to make is this. Be aware of what fear is sponsoring in your life. You'll be surprised it's most of the things of your life. But also, once you bring awareness to it, bring more awareness when the opportunity arises for you to step into an opposite truth, when you can actually give love to yourself without fear of how people see you, without fear of how people may be thinking thoughts in their head, how they might be talking to each other about you. Just letting go and being like, I'm ready to be in my authentic self. See how good you feel in your body. The irony is that by choosing a different action, you give your body the nervous system response that I'm being authentic to myself, and therefore the world is safe. And when your nervous system turns that heater down and you go, then you start transforming your physical health. That's the point I'm trying to make, holistically speaking. So that's how I did it.
Wow, this is like that emoji right now. That's me. And you know, when you were saying that, so funny thing, today I was at the gym and I was listening to a song that I really, really loved. And I have a fear of dancing because I fear like I look funny and just, you know, weird. And so I was alone in the gym, in my neighborhood gym. There was no one. And I immediately, as soon as I said, you know what, I don't care if someone even sees me through the window, like I'm going to dance. And so I started dancing, and immediately I felt that change, like inside my body. I felt so free. And then that throat and heart feeling you were talking about, like I've totally felt that before when I felt like I wanted to do something, but didn't do it because I was scared for whatever reason. So that's great. Yeah, somebody says they have chills. Like I also have some chills this is good stuff. And
But that's your that so essentially what you did is you stepped into your authenticity, right? I want you to think about the last time you danced truly without fear. The last time you danced truly without fear was probably when you were young. And something changed where someone said something to you, or you may have even subtly had a look where someone's like, look, what's that girl doing a dance in the gym? That's weird, right? And you made a story in your head that dancing isn't safe. But imagine the signal that you're giving your nervous system. Your nervous system doesn't care if it's dancing, if it cares if it's singing, it cares if it's speaking your truth. All the nervous system cares is the signal that I'm getting in my body that the world is safe or not. And by you not honoring your authenticity, about when you have the impulse to express yourself through dance, you're giving your nervous system the very signal that the world isn't safe. And again, we perpetuate that signal over and over every single day. When we wake up in the morning and we step out into the world, when we go to the gym, when we go to work, when we come back home, when we turn on the news. Imagine when our nervous system, all our lives, thinks that we're not safe. Why is it such a surprise when we develop a chronic disease, right? When we develop a chronic disease, you have to understand our nervous system has been contracted the whole time. It's been giving off inflammatory hormones the whole time to protect itself. The very things, even though the world, look, I'm in a house, there, it's safe, right? There's nothing happening here, but still I can contract because I can be so nervous about Instagram lives and people on Instagram lives. My nervous system doesn't care about Instagram live. It only cares if the environment is safe, and the signal I'm giving it is that it's not safe. So imagine what your body will feel like. Imagine what happens to disease when you step into your authenticity and you are free and you are releasing all of that contractive energy that has been holding you back from being your highest, most authentic self. It is incredible what that can do to physical health. It'll shift it completely because finally your nervous system goes, oh, the world is safe. Huh, I've been waiting for this moment all my life. Thank you. Now, instead of releasing inflammatory hormones, let's release all those beautiful anti-inflammatory hormones. Oh, the immune system, instead of being depleted because of the nervous system tension, now we get the nervous system to go, I can work the way it was supposed to. Our damn muscles, our joints are able to go, oh my God, I haven't been this flexible since when? Since you were a kid. Why? Because the last time you were in your true authenticity was when you were a child. The goal for me, for everyone in health, is for them to embody their inner child in human adult form, right? Something we forgot. That doesn't mean I have to sit here and draw pictures and play with toys, but it can be that my nervous system has the same exact inputs and responses that it had when I was a child. That the world is safe. We didn't know about COVID when we were kids. We didn't know about war when we were kids. We only knew about the world being so expansive and curious, and we could stare at a tree forever. Why? Because our nervous system is just like the world is safe. We can be in flow. That's what I want for everyone, because that'll completely shift your mental, emotional, spiritual, and ultimately your physical health.
and that feeling of freedom, we'll start doing things that we didn't even think we were capable of. And it's also would bring in people that we didn't even think it existed. I feel like when I made this shift of living in less fear and doing things more for myself because I love myself, I I mean, I met people like you, all of these vegan friends that I have that are so amazing, and they talk about this inner child so much. And it's funny because we grew up thinking that like these people are weird just because they're acting more like a child and they're 30. Oh my God, and she just commented, and I'm talking about her. Lexi, she is like, the first time I met her, you know what we did? We danced. We danced at a park, and at first I was kind of shy, but I was like, you know what, these girls are amazing, we're safe, like who cares if these people are staring around? And that felt so free. And that I remember like getting back into the car going home after hanging out, I was like, wow, like that was cool, that was cool. And then, you know, we ate a bunch of fruit, so that just added the cherry on top.
Yeah, but you bring up a great point because we didn't speak about this. It's when into your authenticity, meaning that authenticity for everyone joining simply is embodying your truest self without fear, right? Children, we're so enamored with children is because they can play and be so present in the moment and be so curious with what they're doing and be so innocent because they're completely open and expansive. They don't have stories. They don't have storytellers. They don't have any sponsoring thoughts that they shouldn't be, do, have something. There's no judgments, right? And again, this is what I want us to shift into that authenticity. But to speak to the point you made, when we step into that, our energy changes and people feel it. Why? Because we're energetic beings. We can absolutely feel when somebody's energy shifts. Step into a room. You can always, even if you're not conscious and you go, I can't, I'm not sensitive to energy. I'm not gifted, but we all are gifted. When you step into a room and there's someone who you can tell when there was just a really bad argument, and then you step into a room without even seeing facial expressions. You feel that energy. Everyone can. It stands to believe then we can always feel someone with that high authenticity. So when our energy changes and expands, we start inviting in like energies, which is why all of a sudden you go, I don't know, I just really made this shift in myself and I started making these really cool friends. I don't know, I made this shift in myself and I just got all these opportunities to like really live in my authentic self as a job, right? I called in a lover who's just like completely different than every guy or girl I ever dated. That's the beauty of it, right? Because when you step into your truth, you change your energy. And when you change your energy, you change your whole experience of what life is, which is incredible. Someone said your vibe attracts your tribe. It's true. Your vibration, especially when it's expansive, will attract such a beautiful set of human beings into your life that you never ever met, you didn't even think existed, right? But that's our God-given right? Because when we're all in our authenticity, imagine we give permission for people to be in their authenticity. We start creating groups of people that are completely expansive and open, and it's those people in their power that can change the world, can change the school system, can change the food systems, can change toxins, can change war, right? Can change all of the things that are not serving us anymore. I'll say really quickly, somebody said, what about if you have a chronic disease? Because I said the physical body in this state is the healthiest body. If you have a chronic disease, it's even more reason to step into this, right? If for some reason all of your life the nervous system has been like this for many reasons, but now is the opportunity, if you've been gifted, right? Here, listen to my words. If you've been given the gift of a chronic disease, that's your body saying, I can't do this anymore. And if your body's saying, I can't do this anymore, here's an opportunity. What better opportunity to finally listen and go like this? I need to change the way that I interact with myself in the world. I need to change the inputs that are coming to my nervous system, and I need to tell it that it's safe, right? Because imagine a chronic disease living in a body that is completely open and expansive and saying that the world is safe. Imagine where that chronic disease will go. I'm not saying it'll be cured overnight, but I'm saying you're giving your body the climate, the atmosphere for that disease, a really tough place to live, which is incredible because that again goes back to us. It goes back to how we show up in the world, which is a move that we can make today. It's always been at our grasp. It's never been out of reach. It's never been in a book. It's never been on a YouTube video. It's never been with a guru sitting down and talking to you. It's always been within reach from yourself. How incredible is that we can just tap into that our own self, choose love over fear, create new nervous system inputs in our body, change our physical health, and also, oops, by the way, change the way we interact with the world and attract better people in our lives by one decision.
Yeah, and I feel like also by making that one decision, not only are you helping yourself, but you're just naturally helping others. Like, can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Sorry, next time I go on a live, I'm turning off calls. I've gotten 3 calls already, and it's just like, no, and it distracts me. Hopefully everything is okay. It's my mom.
That's permission. That's the permission element. You're saying it helps others. You give people permission. That's it, right? Remember I said people feel you. People feel energy, even if they don't think they do. You being you in your highest self, in complete love, choosing no fear, gives people permission when they see you, when they feel you, when they're following you every day and they go, Yali, you're just like so expansive. Like you're radiant. Like you don't seem like you have your fear anything. You're dancing on your Instagram. You're speaking truth. If I feel it in my heart, you're giving permission for that very best, for that person to be their highest, very best self, just without you ever even knowing. So the word is permission. When you live in your highest truth embodied in human form, all you do is give permission to every single person you touch. Even if it's a cashier person at Whole Foods, you simply being expansive and expressive and being like, I love that sweatshirt. I love your hairstyle. I love your energy. That gives her or him the permission at some point to go, I really like the way she gave me that compliment. I want to show up like that. Maybe next time, after she leaves, the next customer, I can say something back. Imagine how you could change the world just by one comment, by one decision. And this is the power that I'm trying to give people, is saying nothing is outside of you. It's one decision. It's literally choosing to live with fear and let go of that fear. You don't have to read books. You don't have to watch YouTube videos. You don't need to go on retreats. And this is crazy because I do retreats. What I'm trying to tell you is it's all within your grasp. That's how powerful we are.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those types of people who will comment a random person, and it kind of is, I mean, and I've never received a bad response. It actually put a smile on the person's face. And that makes total sense. It like gives permission for the person to feel the way they want to feel and feel that freedom they've been wanting to feel, right? So I guess let's say, because I've experienced this, I've complimented a random person and the person I was with was like, "You're so weird, like stop doing that." I like, how should I respond?
But that's not within your power. Your only power and your only responsibility always is to be authentic to yourself. How even the person, let's go back to that example. Let's say I'm at the supermarket and the truest, highest self that's coming up is for me to say, God, I really want to say something really nice to this person. I can't help it, but I love her hairstyle. What an amazing hairstyle. I've never seen this hairstyle. And it wants to come out, but whoa, how's she going to take it? My fear is that she may think that I'm hitting on her, or she may think that I'm just being weird. Your responsibility is not the reactions. Your only responsibility is honoring your own action. Always. Because inevitably, if you're walking in the street and you smile at someone, not everyone's going to smile back. Inevitably, if you're walking down the street wearing what you want to wear, that is totally embodying your highest self, not everyone's going to like that. Even your closest friends, or even at worst, your family members. But that's all okay. Again, you have no responsibility over people's reactions. You only have a responsibility, and the only question is am I honoring my highest self? Yes or no? Am I being authentic to who I am? Yes or no? And is who I am rooted in love or fear? Love. That's it. After that, everything else is a side piece. Everything else is a sidebar. The only thing you're doing is flowing from yourself, and whoever's watching, even the people who respond negatively, we're supposed to see that. They're supposed to feel that, right? Because even if you see a person respond negatively, you smile at them on the street and you see them go like this, and then they walk past you, who knows if 5 steps later they smile? You don't know, and there's no need for you to care. It's simply just you being you and your highest, authentic, authentically infectious, as someone saying, self.
But what about like the person that was next to me? Not the person I complimented, like the friend that was next to me, and they basically just called me weird for doing that.
But is someone's comment enough to hold back your authenticity?
No.
Right? But like, no, because we've been given, anytime we're embodying our highest self, right? Our most authentic self as children, all we needed was one person, especially a person who we care about, a friend, a teacher, a family member, to say, we don't do that, or don't do that, or that's weird, right? Or men don't do that, or women don't do that. We've been told that, and we've been living with that story over and over. But now the difference between you and a child is that you have the power to go, I hear you, and I love you, friend, but I'm also honoring something that I love more than you, and it's me. That's the most powerful thing you can do.
Yes, such a great response. And that's probably going to make them be like, wow, like, you know, you're so right. Maybe I should do more things that are for loving myself.
Permission. Just by you being you, regardless of how your friend reacts, even if you care a lot about their opinion, you still give them permission, because they won't remember how they felt in that moment, or they'll never forget how they felt in that moment.
Yeah, I definitely used to really live in a fear of judgment from my friends, and I basically had no personality, like no, you know, even my mom used to tell me like, you just do what makes other people happy, and you know what you think is gonna make them accept you. Like you're not really being yourself. And I used to think like, Mom, what are you talking about? Like I am doing what I want, but I totally see it now. And it's because I cared way too much about what other people were going to think about me. So I was in fear. And I just feel that I definitely don't live in that space anymore where like I still care what people think, you know, but not in a way, you know what I mean. And I definitely feel so free, and I
I'll,
feel I do more that makes me happy.
yeah, I'll say something about that, Yeli. When you, especially for people pleasing, right? And I was a massive people pleaser, especially when I was younger. When you are looking for your validation as a person outside of you, you're on a never ending hamster wheel. You will never get enough validation. You'll never be enough. If people outside of you are giving you a point of reference for you to understand and feel who you are. The irony is that who you are is always accessible, right? And it's always in that authentic state, as I'm going right back to. It's like when you remove that fear of all of the things that you needed to, you can always be giving yourself a never ending cup of fulfillment. So you can honor yourself. You can be wonderful to people. You can be loving to people. You can be everything you ever wanted. But no point of identity or sense of self is ever coming from someone else. And that is the that's the part of people pleasing that we don't see, right? We want to keep the peace. We want to go, hey, of course, I'll overextend myself for you. Of course, because I people please. Mom, I'll be there right now, even though I really, really wanted to go to a concert with my friends, and that would have been so amazing, right? All of these things are wonderful, and we honor those things, right? We think they're very noble acts, which in many ways they are, but it's not noble at all, especially if you're taking away from yourself when you're overextending your sense of self and waiting for someone to go, thank you for showing up, you're good enough, right? Oh, thank you for coming to this dinner instead of going to the concert. I love you more. I love you more than I did yesterday. And you go, yes, okay, yes, I'm loved. I'm good enough. I'm all of these things. The hamster wheel is the fact that we never stop and know that we can always have that cup filled from ourselves, such that we never, ever, ever need anything from anyone. Anything from anyone is a cherry on top of a cake, but we are that cake, right? It's always an asset to our sense of self, but never our sense of self. Because I promise you, if you are deriving your validation in your sense of self, you will never, ever, ever have grounding on who you are. And you will never be happy, because all it takes is one person to go, you're not enough. All it takes is one person to go, I don't love you anymore. For you to go, oh my God, who am I? What's my sense of self? I don't feel good in my body. It's all a creation of you. It's never been not you. Therefore, the power is always within you.
This is so huge. It's crazy how quickly we are to judge ourselves when someone says one thing, and it's so difficult for us to do it within ourselves. So, what about in this situation? What if you like really want to do something, but you know, to fulfill yourself, but it could like be disrespectful or affect, you know, your relationship or your friendship with someone. Like, how how do you what do you I don't know, how do you go about that?
Use your compass, right? Love or fear. Love will always be expansive, but love, we don't want to misconstrue this. Love doesn't mean selfishness. Love doesn't mean, oh, I really want to do this because I love myself. But in the meantime, you're hurting 5, 6, 7, 8 people, right?
Yeah.
That's not, that is fear shrouded in the skin of love, right? But the fact of the matter is that when you're truly, authentically, and intuitively understanding what it is to be love, which is everything, right? What it is to be in love with yourself, what it is to want to operate from that loving self, that shifts everything. Because ironically, all of the things and all of the ways you operate in this world are going to elevate and expand rather than contract and hurt. And that's really powerful, because then you can navigate. You go, am I rooted in love or fear? Is this message that I'm putting out rooted in love or fear? And you become more and more sensitive to the messages you're putting out, and more sensitive to how it feels when you're operating out of love versus operating out of fear. For me, it's very obvious when I'm operating out of fear. I feel it in my stomach, I feel it in my chest. And then if I still go through with it and I operate in fear, I start thinking about it. I'm like, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done that. That's not honoring my high self. I just feel it in my body. The more sensitive we become. So I see what you're saying. What if we want to do something that we say is love, but it ends up hurting people? You have to be sensitive to understanding what that love is. And inevitably, even if you're honoring your highest self, some people may be hurt in the sense of going, wow, Yelly really changed. She used to be just a people pleaser, and now she's just totally just doing things for herself. Like she's going to the mountains by herself on a trip and on a hike for herself. But like she used to come to the club with me and drink with me. Inevitably, as you grow and expand, you're going to shed a lot of layers. And with those layers, it's not just you. With those layers are old versions of you, meaning old things you attracted, old people, old places, old things, old situations, old circumstances. You start shedding all of that. So you may find in this whole process of opening and expanding that you make new friends, that you attract new lovers. Things shift. So it's not necessarily a hurt. It's an honoring of yourself and shedding all of the things that don't serve you anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely relate to that. I feel like I felt really bad. Like when I was really focused on starting my business after I left my job, I mean, I really needed to apply a lot of time to this. So I started saying no. Well, I read the book, The Art of Saying No. Have you read that one?
No.
It's really, really good one. I can't recall the author right now. I actually listened to it on my walks. I was never into audibles until I started listening to one. But I had a lot of trouble with saying no to people because I felt bad I would hurt them. Um, and then I started to say no. I explain myself sometimes and other times no, but I really realized that those people, a lot of those people I said no to, I barely even interact with them anymore. And I just, not that I feel like it's a waste of time. It's just, it like makes no sense to me. Like, not that I'm not going to get anything good out of it. It's just, I don't know how to explain it.
Right. Okay. So what I'll show you is this. Like, of course, a lot of us have a hard time saying no because, again, the people pleasing sense of validation, right? You don't want to say no because you want to show up as blank, right? I want to show up as someone who is loving, show up as someone who honors things, right? So you don't want to say no, in essence, because you don't want your sense of self to be shaken up. If someone goes, I'm mad at you because you didn't show up for me, right? And then you go, oh no, who am I? I forgot who I am. This is really hurtful. But really, when you're coming from a state of love for self, honoring your time, right? Honoring what you want to do in this world, rooted in your true love, it's very easy to say no because you go like this. I love you. Thanks for the opportunity. I can't because I'd rather do something more important for myself, which is meditation, journaling, going on a hike by yourself, really working on something that can help humanity with their health and nutrition. That's rooted in the love that you want to bring into this world. Everything else is ancillary, right? Everything else just happens through that process. But when you're chasing outside of those borders for, oh, I need a sense of self. I need a sense of self. I can't say no to this. I have to go to this. I have to be this. I have to do this. God, it's fucking exhausting. Imagine your nervous system, what it does after a year of that. Now imagine someone in their 30s like me after 30 years of that. Imagine what your nervous system does. And then we go, why am I always tired? Why do I feel like I'm always stressed? Why aren't I sleeping well? Why do I have skin issues? Why do I have brain fog? Of course, because your system is exhausted from the same hamster wheel it's been on for the past 15, 20 years.
It's funny, you haven't read that book, but exactly what you said is mentioned in it. Um, so what is there something that like you maybe ask yourself or tell yourself to stay in this mindset or like to remember, am I doing this out of fear or out of love?
Yeah. Rituals. I've been actually saying since my first podcast, I was talking about the importance of rituals. If you are not setting aside time for yourself every single day, it's very easy to fall back to the programming that you've been programmed with for a very, very long time. And think about it. Our brain is plastic, meaning that it will wire and fire according to our thoughts, words, and actions always. So imagine 20 years of the same thoughts, words, and actions sponsoring the way your brain is firing. It's a problem. So it takes 3, 6 months, a year of always being in it and taking check and taking an audit for your brain to start changing, it becomes easier in essence. So you got to take time with rituals. You have to. You need to set a time, whatever it is, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, hour. Sometimes I take 2 hours in the morning, right? But that's what works for me. That's what I need. Some people can take an hour in the morning, an hour at night, but you need to set time where you're doing something to remind yourself who you are. If you don't remind yourself who you are, you will go right back on autopilot in 1 or 2 days. When you sit down and you journal and you have self-awareness about why am I showing up like this? What am I, how, wow, yesterday I really showed up in fear when I did this. That's okay, but now I have awareness over it. So next time that situation comes up and that person is showing me a mirror of the exact things that I need to work on, instead of yelling at them, I'll go, thank you, I love you. I'm actually going to change that because it doesn't serve me anymore. So taking awareness of yourself through journaling is essential, right? For me, I'll do something like that, but also I'll take a walk. For me, I get a lot of clarity when I'm in my walk, and especially when I don't have any outside noise, but I'm actually being fully present in my walk with each step, with each bird noise, with each rustling of the leaves. All of those things bring me back to the present moment, where all of a sudden, if I had a question about something, the answer always comes up at the end of my walk, or I'll always have inspiration like, oh, why didn't I think about doing it that way? So these things, essentially rituals, are a way of getting back to yourself. And how do you get back to yourself? You got to get in the present moment, whether it's journaling, meditation, going on a walk and being very present, grounding on a beach if you have a beach or grass around you, whatever it is to get out of here and into here, right? If you can get into your heart and get those signals from your heart every single day, that is the most essential thing. Checking an audit, as someone's saying right here, then you can go about your day with that awareness. So then when something comes up that is showing you that you've been living in fear every time you're around this type of person or this situation or this circumstance, you get to choose differently in that moment. You go, shit, I usually show up this way. I'm going to change the way that my brain reacts, my heart reacts, my body reacts, and my voice reacts in this moment. And when you do change that, it becomes easier because the next time you do it, and the next time you do it. And then all of a sudden, one change becomes a habit. And when that habit completely becomes your personality all of a sudden for a higher self, then you're embodying this new sense of self and you start feeling better in your body. Your physical health starts improving, right? This is holistically speaking how it's all tied in together. So make time for yourself. I don't care. Everyone has time to take a shower. If you can't take 15 minutes in the shower to just be fully present with the soap on your body, with the shampoo in your head, if you can't take 15 minutes to drive and completely just be at peace and thinking, going within and going, okay, I'm going to drive, but I'm going to listen to the wind blowing. I'm going to listen to my breath as I'm driving. That's going to get you into that place. Everything else is a plus. If you can journal, beautiful. Journaling will show you exactly what you need to see on paper, right? If you need to meditate, close your eyes. It'll show you exactly what you need to see in your mind's eye. All of these things, but take some time to yourself. Don't pick up your phone when you wake up. Don't go downstairs. Don't make coffee. Don't rush into the shower. Don't rush to get dressed. Don't rush into your car. Don't rush to work. If you're doing that, you're doing a disservice and you're back on autopilot. And autopilot is the bane of existence of our health and humanity.
So you're telling me all this, right? And then what if I just tell you, yeah, no, like there's just absolutely no way that I can make the time. I work full-time job. I have kids I pick up after school and then they go to soccer and then my husband goes to baseball. Like, how do you say this to a person who like is completely blocked?
So someone asked, actually, are you writing a book? And the answer is yes. And it's going to be almost not exclusively about this, but there's a big chunk of the book based on this, amongst other things like environmental toxins, which are great, and nutrition, which is great. But in that book, I'm considering all spectrums of people, right? People who have complete freedom to spend 3 hours in the morning on all their rituals, right? But people who are single moms or single dads, right, and are working night shift, morning shift. We're trying to find ways to weave it in, but what I mentioned something, we all have to shower. Take that time in the shower. If you take a 5-minute shower or even a 10-minute shower, you can always take the time to even say in the shower, verbally, here's what I'm grateful for. 5 things, but truly feel it in your body. Damn, I'm grateful that I'm even standing up in the shower and that I'm not sitting down, that I have the ability for my legs to stand up. Damn, I'm grateful that I even have running water. If you start bringing gratitude in these moments, really powerful. So say you're a single mom, single dad, you're working like crazy. 5-10 minute shower, you can get in 10 gratitude and affirmations. That takes a minute, right? You can speak 5 things. You could say, I am creating myself to be more loving. I'm creating and experiencing myself to be more open-hearted, expansive. I'm creating, experiencing myself to be more compassionate. Whatever you want to call into your life. Okay, there you go. That's 10 minutes of your life. You get into a car, and then in the car, you can just bring yourself back to present moment. You could do a mini meditation. You could do breath work in a car. You can just breathe for 3 seconds in, hold it, breathe 3 seconds out, hold it, breathe 3 seconds in, hold it. You can do that for 5 minutes. There you go. You've done your full rituals in 15 minutes. And you've done it in things you would always do anyway, like shower or drive in a car. See what I mean? Like, we don't need to do what I do, like sit on my floor of my room for an hour, right? You don't need to do that. I just take it to the extreme. But regardless, it can work for anyone if we make it a priority to do.
And you do this like Monday through Sunday?
I try to. There's moments where I slept in late and I have to get up and run, but I'll still do some stuff in my car. There's times where on the weekends I'm with my girlfriend and, you know, like we just are doing things. We got to wake up and we have to make this, we have to do that. But even on those times, I'll take time to do something that is important to me, right?
Yeah.
I'll do like even at like let's say on the weekends when we're always like doing other things. Like I'm not going to sit down and meditate for 40 minutes. We'll go on a walk. And I'll go, let's go to the beach real quick. Let's put our feet on the ground. You know what? We're here. Let's do some affirmations of gratitude. And then we'll go to this barbecue or something, you know? So yeah. If it's a priority, you can make anything work, period. As long as you make it a priority and understand that this is bringing you back to your highest self. And this is doing not only mental, emotional, and spiritual, but it's doing physical benefits to your body over time. Like, what other priority should we have outside of our families than this?
Yeah. Yes to everything. I was gonna say something and I got distracted but by what you were saying, but okay. Oh, I remembered. What's one non-negotiable for you though? Like what's that, is there that one habit that you 100% like don't ever deny?
It's a good one because there's a lot of non-negotiables. I find, okay, so I find that the biggest bang for my buck is when I sit down and I take at least 20 minutes to meditate, right? That is, it is a vast difference between the days that I don't do that versus the days that I do. But for the sake of being just like cliche and being like, everyone meditate, it's great for you. Going on a walk is really important for me. And I do it, and I know you do it a lot too, is as soon as I get up, going and hitting that morning sun is really important, not only for exposing yourself, moving your body, but also exposing yourself to the sun and initiating something called the cortisol awakening response that is going to shoot up your cortisol and bring it down over the day. You need that spike of cortisol, especially in the morning. So I wear glasses or contacts. I don't wear anything. And I let the sun hit my eyes when I'm walking around my block. But I find like all it takes is for me to get my lymphatic system moving, my blood moving, right? My energy moving in literally like a 20-minute walk around, and I'm good for that. Like there's my energy. That's my coffee, right? A plus is the matcha that I drink, but I need that walk. So for me, it's really important. And I find like people who do walks in nature are so much more mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically healthy than those who don't. We are not separate from nature. We actually are nature. And there's a reason why you could step into a forest or on a beach or even in a park and not step out angrier than you were before, or sadder than you were before, or more fearful than you were before. There's something to be said about the healing power of nature. So that's sort of a non-negotiable. I really have to get some sliver of nature in my day. And if I do, my body's healthier, my gut health feels so much more at peace. My nervous system is like, hey man, you got the signal that nature is around you, you're good for today. And then my nervous system is turned down. I could show up at peace. I could show up more authentically myself because I'm not nervous about how people think about me. My nervous system isn't firing off. That's a non-negotiable for me, getting a sliver of nature every day.
I hear ya. The movement is a non-negotiable for me. It's funny you mentioned the whole meditation thing. There's days where I'll wake up and I don't know, I'm feeling tired and I'm like, I'll just work out like at 3 or 4. And when it comes to 3 or 4, I'm so tired and I don't want to go work out. And so today I worked out in the morning, and look, it's 4:30 p.m. for me. Um, and I have all this energy. I mean, I know a lot has to do with it, like being on this live and everything you're talking about is really, really exciting. But I definitely feel that the mornings where I prioritize what's a non-negotiable for me, my day is just exponentially better. And movement, I like to move outside. I really do.
So the question is for everyone, have you found what is a non-negotiable for you? And if you have, are you doing it every single day, right? We know intuitively what our body needs. We intuitively know what our mind, body, and soul overall need, right? So if it's journaling, if it's meditation, if it's grounding, if it's movement, if it's a morning workout, if it's something, but start integrating that every single day, because what you need is a workout, right? Early in the morning. What I need is at least a brisk walk and some grounding on the beach. But it's different, but still, it's still the same overall effect. It's still our nervous system going, we're good. We feel good. Our body feels good. We're good for the day. We can show up in our most authentic, highest selves.
Yes. Yeah. So it's about making the time to do those non-negotiables and showing more love to ourselves.
Very simple, right?
Yeah.
It's like I don't need to sit here with a doctor's pad and write all of these prescriptions for you, right? And I'm not saying I have a problem with prescriptions. They can help many people, but that's not the answer, right? What I'm trying to do is give you simplicity to what health is. And health is our truest nature. Health is us not being separate from our nature. Health is being aligned with our highest self and our highest nature. So you cannot do all of the things outside of you, like eating a healthy diet and working out and taking all the best supplements. And I own a supplement company, a platform. Like all of these things are still not the root. They help, and they help tremendously, but they're not the root. The root is always, are you embodying your truest nature, yes or no? That's it. Simply speaking, if you're embodying your truest nature out of love, without fear, and expressing your highest self, then you are at the root of health. Then you're at point A of your operation. And then when you're operating from point A, then all of the things have even bigger bang for the buck, like nutritious diet, environmental toxins. All of these things are outgrowths from the root, but you need to be in touch with the root. Can't do it reverse. And that's the point I'm trying to make. You ask me what is health? Health is exactly that. Are you embodying your highest self, your truest nature? Period.
Yeah. So I feel like now moving forward, I'm not going to, I mean, I really do still think mindset is there. So would you say that that's aligned to saying like, got to work on your mindset first?
I mean, it's deeper than mindset, right?
Yeah.
Mindset implies that you're working with brain mind. This is soul set, right? This
Yeah.
is deeper. Mindset comes from this, right? Because my mindset can completely change when I'm embodying my highest self. If I'm embodying my authenticity out of love without fear of anything, then my mindset just happens to change for the positive. It is a derivative of this feeling of my highest self. You see what I mean? Like all of a sudden, it just happens like my mindset becomes more positive. Why? Because I feel better in my body. That's the whole point. You can't go reverse. I can't be a mindset coach working from brain. You can't go brain to heart body. You go heart body soul to brain. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Wow. This changed the whole perspective. Okay. So soul and heart, then mind, and then everything else that expands from that.
Yeah, soul, heart, body, right? All this is everything here. This whole thing is everything. Here is just a derivative, right? You can't read mindset books. That doesn't last if here isn't in line. You can't have a positive mindset if you're living in fear, right? How do you overcome fear? Is you release it from the body and you expand the heart, you expand yourself, you honor yourself, right? When you're doing that, your mindset just falls into place. See what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like if we feel sad in our hearts, no matter how much you tell yourself, be positive, you're not
Right.
going to be positive.
Or even better terms, if you're living in fear, you cannot have a mindset coach telling you be positive in this. It doesn't work. You have to release the fear, and you have to know how to release the fear to get back into your highest loving, expressive, truest self, and then everything else comes. See what I mean?
Yes. it just falls into place.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I mean, I'm not saying that like me right now, the way I'm living my routine, like everything's perfect. I feel like I'm still growing, I'm still learning, but I definitely totally just everything that you're saying just has been connecting the dots with like the stages that I've been going through. And it's like it really does just it's that energy, like it just kind of like comes and flows. Yeah, wow. Like that even to the point where your subconscious self starts like making these better decisions,
Hmm.
right?
Right, right, because because the subconscious fear sponsored self, the very thing that is sponsoring the way we move about this world, rooted in fear from our subconscious, because we're not consciously going like, oh, I'm really scared to have this meeting because every time I go to meetings, I fail. We're not really always thinking about all these things, right? We may a little bit, but the story is in our subconscious, the whole tale of it, right? Everything that like happened into that in your whole life that came to that one thing that I don't show up well at meetings. I don't show up well at work. Whatever the story is, has a whole root. The root is in the subconscious. That's why we don't always look at the root. And that's why it's hard for us to look at the root many of the times. But that's what I'm saying. As you understand that most of our subconscious sponsoring thoughts, words, and actions are rooted in fear, then you understand that the story in itself was just a surface of what's going on underneath the glacier, right? But many times it's still the same story, is that I can't authentically be myself because it's not safe. So when you address that one thing, can I authentically be myself without fear? Then that just breaks off every story. I'm not enough. I'm not a good singer. I'm not a good dancer. I'm not a good public speaker. I'm not smart enough. All those things break apart. Why? Because you've completely shifted yourself, because you completely shifted. All of those things underwater are just stories, but the story can all be written in 4 letters, fear, in big letters, right? You write fear with big marker. So if you release the fear, you release all the stories that don't serve you anymore. See what I'm saying? Like what I'm trying to get is to the lowest common denominator for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Which is
Oh,
fear.
right, exactly. So, and we can get to the thing is, we can all get to that place today. Today. That's the crazy part. The only thing is the illusion that we cannot be, do, have our highest selves. That's the illusion we're living with, that we can't show up the way we want to. Judgment from our parents, from religion, from work people, right? From our friends, from all the stories, right? All the stories we've ever made up that we needed in our lives, but all the stories, that is the very thing that is sponsoring, but we can change it. Like today, we can change it today by going like this. Today, I'm bringing awareness to what fear is sponsoring in my life. Today, I'm bringing awareness to all of the things, from relationships to work, from even something as simple as dancing to a song at the supermarket when I don't want to. When you acknowledge the very things that fear is sponsoring in your life and you see it on paper in front of you, you go, well, damn, most of my life is sponsored in fear. And then just by you acknowledging, you're opening up the space for that opportunity to choose differently. So let's say the dancing at the supermarket thing, right? When you bring awareness that you were scared to dance that time at the supermarket, you were scared to dance that time in the wedding, even though you really love that Will Smith song, like that very opportunity will come up inevitably again. It's how the universe works. You will always have something come up for you again. And you have that opportunity to completely change the reality and go, huh, I'm not living in fear anymore. That's it. I'm going to be, do, say, have anything that I want in this moment that's authentic to me because I'm sick of it, right? And you get to change that completely. Isn't that amazing to be able to shift the mountain of your life in one day, in 2 days, in 3 days, in a week?
Yeah, that's incredible. And you'll go to that wedding again and actually go dance in the dance floor this time or in the supermarket.
Because you've released the fear of anything. Even though you know you're not a good dancer, you've released the fear of someone else judging you. Though there's no one else judging you. The very person that is judging you is yourself, right? The fear is that other people are judging you, and that may be true, or it may not be true. No one may be judging you at the wedding. Everyone may judge you at the wedding, but who cares? Because it's not your responsibility to be preoccupied with anyone's reaction. It is only your responsibility to be preoccupied with your reaction. And your reaction is always the highest one. And your reaction is the only one that you need to be concerned with. Why? Because when you're honoring your highest self, even though you're not a good dancer and you're dancing at a wedding because you really love that song, you're feeling better in your body. And guess what? You're giving permission to the very people who may be judging you to be themselves and to lose the fear through judgment, because they're only seeing you dancing, making them uncomfortable because they want to do it. You see what I mean? Like, you're bettering everyone in the room by you being you.
100%. And would you say this would also apply? So we're talking here stories we make up, right? But what about the things that have actually happened to us?
For sure. Which is even our nervous system is providing us more safety, right? Because let's say when I dance at that wedding, to go back to that example, when I dance at the wedding, I did like I fell on the floor when I was like 10 years old, and I was going through puberty and my feet were too big, and I fell on the floor, and everyone pointed and laughed and go, look at he's so goofy dancing and falling. Like, for sure, like, even if it didn't happen to us or it did happen to us, it's still a story. Why? Because it's not real anymore. It's not real. It's something that happened or didn't happen. Regardless, they all still sprout into a story. It's still the story that's sponsoring your reality. See what I mean?
Yeah.
So even though it did happen and it's very real for you still, you still have, at the end of the day, the same choice. And it's to choose to honor your authentic highest self or not. Live in fear or live in love. That's it. You always have that choice. And when you choose to live in love, you ironically dissolve and fizzle away that thing that happened in the past, whether it was a story or it was real.
I have a giant canvas that I have had for a few months now, because there's nothing over the couch in my living room. And so I painted the painting over the dining room, and I'm like, you know what? I'll do the one above the couch now. But you know what I'm going to do now? I'm just going to write live in fear or live in love.
Perfect.
And I'll change everybody's life who walks in through this door.
Everyone should. Everyone should. Like, we should ask ourselves every single day, at the end of the day, did I live in fear or love today? Oh, I lived in fear? How? Okay, I did this. Why did I do that? I always do that. Oh, why did I say this? I always say this. Man, in this circumstance, I reacted the same way. And you go, none of this is serving me anymore. Wow, I am living in fear. Right? But that's okay, even if you chose that day, because the very next moment, you can always choose to live in love. That's what I'm saying. You can change your life in a day because it's moment to moment. You can choose in the very next moment. Therefore, who I am right now on this live with you, I can choose to live in fear right after this live, and I can be a completely different person because the rest of my life will be attracting the same fear energy, and my experience of the world will be in fear. And guess what? The world is the way it is because most of our experience is in fear. That's the crazy part. Now, what I'm just submitting to people is that we have the opportunity to live in love.
Yeah, and that journaling, because I could be living in fear and not be realizing it, but then if at the end of the day I reflect and I journal, I'm like, oh no, I was living in fear. I totally could have done this out of love and gotten a different experience, and my day probably could have gone better, or something better could have happened to me. Wowee, this is like the quickest form of medicine I've ever heard of, right? Like, I don't even think a Tylenol, which isn't any good for you, I don't even think a Tylenol can cure your headache this quickly.
Yeah, I mean, like, before we sign off, it's like, how good do you feel in your body, right? If everyone is asked themselves, do I feel good in my body? Do I feel free in my body? Do I feel emotionally like just everything is there? Like, I can expand. Do you feel expansive or do you feel contracted? We all know how it feels to feel contracted, right? I'll tell you a little barometer. All of us can think of this at any moment and go, okay, when I was doing something when I was a kid and I was completely open and having the best time doing it, let's say dancing, when I was dancing and moving my arms and laughing and I love this song, and then someone put their hand on my shoulder and they go, no, we don't dance here. Now, this isn't a time to dance. You can't dance here. You know that very moment where you go, oh, no, but I feel so stupid for dancing. I was vulnerable. I was so open, and now I feel contracted. We are all living in that state. like someone put their hand on our shoulders and says, you can't do this. You can't be this. You can't have this. And we are living with it in our body and in our chest and in every single place of our being. That's what I want people to understand. Feel into your body and see, are you truly free and expansive and vulnerable and loving, right? Or are we living in a contractive fear state?
Yeah, and
And
that
that,
feeling sucks.
right, it does suck. But guess what? We always have glimpses of the opposite of it, right? When we're in a moment where we're fully immersed and having a good time or laughing or being, or just when we feel like, wow, I really connected with that person. I feel like I want more of that. I want to like stand on a soapbox and say all of this. Or the moments where we're in a flow state where we're just like singing with our friends, right? And we're all harmonizing, right? Or we're all dancing to music, or we're really present and just creating art. And we're like, why don't I create art more? Those are the moments of expansion. Those are the moments of expansion that we should be living every single moment of our lives in. See what I mean? Now, understand, just because you don't feel that way right now does not mean you don't have to and can't feel that way every single moment, because the choice is yours. I don't live that way every single moment, right? But still, at least I have the awareness of what it feels like. So I can always step into it and go, am I doing something that it's not serving me? Am I doing something that is fearful in a fear state? Okay, am I going to honor that? No, not anymore. Actually going to step into that childlike, open vulnerability, expansiveness that is like pure, God-given. What we are blessed to. That's how we are here to live. And simply speaking, like that's there for us. It's not never. It's always been there for us. The only thing holding back is those stories rooted in love and fear.
Yeah, let's be more fruity, more ourselves.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. And before someone said honor, like someone said hashtag like get weird or honor your weirdness. Yeah. Like if we want to label it and judge it as weirdness, that's beautiful, right? Because again, your expression of your highest self is very different than mine, right? My expression of my highest self is very different than yours. But here's the beauty in it. If we're in a room, your expression may get 50% of the people to have permission to be themselves. And my expression may give the other 50% to be themselves. People will always resonate differently with other people. Our only responsibility is to embody our highest selves in human form. That's it. We don't have to worry how people take it. We don't have to worry if we're loved, if we're feared, if we're hated, if we're accepted. That is beyond, right? That's reaction. Who cares about reaction? It's authenticity. How are we reacting? How are we being? You understand?
and and always remember that, like, we're here thinking about who's going to judge, but when we're ourselves, we're always helping someone. Like, someone is always going to benefit, someone is always listening. There's so many times where, like, I've spoken on my story and I rewatch it and I'm like, oh my god, I talk so much, and then moments later I'll get a message like, I needed to hear this today. So I mean, and even if we don't receive that response, like, it's always, someone is always listening and it's always helping someone. So let's focus on the good and not the bad.
Right. But regardless of even good and bad, just focus on what is. It just is. Right. If someone gives you, if someone even says, I don't like when you do that, it really annoys me. Okay, that's okay. Right. Because all you're doing is giving permission for yourself to be yourself. Again, it's not your responsibility how people react with their words or even their thoughts. Right. Because then sometimes it's even worse if they just give you a look, because then you're like, are they accepting me for who I am? Are they judging me? Oh my, good enough for them? Right. It's not your responsibility. And even if they do give you that judgmental look or say something judgmental to you, how do you not know that when they get home you've changed your life, right? It is not our responsibility and thus not our worry. Why put any more resources into anything else outside of you? All of our resources should go, are we authentically being our highest selves? I'll leave you with that.
I'm here debating, should I put that question or the live in fear or love question on my canvas?
Whatever resonates with your intuition. Remember we talked about intuition? Whatever you feel. And it can change the day. And then it could change the day after that. Because it's all okay. As long as you're honoring your highest self.
Are you honoring your highest self? Are you living in fear or love? Wow. Well, this totally has changed my life. And I'm sure it's changed others here who are listening. So yeah, someone said you're exceptional. Truly, thank you. I'm like speechless. So that says a lot though.
It's a pleasure, and like we had over 120 people consistently on this, and I'm honored that I can be speaking to all of you like this. It is something that is truly being authentic to me to give with these words, and my gifts have been to articulate, and great. But everyone here has gifts that are different than mine that can do the same thing. By just being your highest selves, you're going to give permission to everyone. Don't ever look at someone and go, man, I want to be more of that, because you yourself can be completely different. You cannot use tools and use reference points to be someone else. Understand what your gifts are, your tools and your reference point, and be that. And be that with authenticity, and be that with love, and be that without fear. And when you're embodying that, that's how you shift the world. That's how you shift how you interact with people. You see what I'm saying? It's not that just because I'm articulating, you have to do it like me. Just be your highest self with your gifts, and then you shift yourself, your families, your community, and the world. Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining. I love you all. I saw my dad on this. I love you, Dad. Thank you.
So much love. I really appreciate this. Like, wow, thank you. I'm gonna like upload this to as many places as possible so as many people can hear it. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank
Oh,
you, thank you.
too.
What
All
did you
right.
say?
I'll be happy to share it too.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you so much, and hope everyone has a great rest of their day, including
Okay.
you. Bye.
Take